guys, we are checking to see if this is a good place for me to be for my video. Gotta catch him, make a video. This is great. I'm really excited just to be on here. Alright, so today I want to talk a little bit about my story as a food photographer over the last 10 years and how amazing that journey has definitely been. It's definitely taken me all over the world. And it first actually started from probably my hometown. Yeah, when I got into food photography, I didn't even know. Actually, I probably even go even further back. My mother used to say you always eat with your eyes first before you eat in general. So I think always going into that, I even realized that I wanted to take photos. I realized that the food should look extremely well. And I remember when I was in culinary school, we would, you always have your practical every 30, not even every 30, I think it was like every 7 days at Johnson & Wales, because we were taking like 6 or 7 classes at a time. It's been very long, but whatever. We were taking a certain amount of classes at a time, and every single 7th day we'll have our practical. So we were going, we were learning a new dish or learn a new style of what food we were going to be doing. So some classes might be like stocks and soups, some would be like international cuisine, and then at the end you would just have to take all that information and put it together. And I just never liked it because, I was always trying to, you're looking at all these like French books from all different places in the world, and you start like, okay, well you got the sauce and I could never figure it out. But anytime I looked at someone else's stuff, I liked it. So I would try to mimic as much as I could, which, it goes so far. I think that's kind of what we do just in general as artists. We kind of just mimic what we see until we can put our own spin onto it. And not really liked mine, but I liked everyone else's. So I was always kind of taking photos of that. And then basically Instagram came out when we were my freshman, sophomore year in school, constantly taking photos of everyone else's food and trying to get mine to get a certain way. And then I remember my chef Brian, who's no longer here with us, but as I was trying to figure out how to do everything, I was always on YouTube. I would just go to my room, do our 8-hour class. After the 8-hour class, I would run over to my room and try to practice or get ready for a practical. And then from there, I would just be on YouTube. I would constantly. I mean, it's what we're doing now. I would just be on YouTube looking for ways to get better at kind of just food. And I was using Lightroom all the time. I was using Photoshop all the time, self-taught on that. That's how I started using Lightroom and Photoshop. I would just be on YouTube every single day. And then from there, I would try to photo manipulate other photos into things that I liked. So I took that aspect, brought it into the restaurant scene, and then my chef Brian was like, "Yo, you should start a YouTube, not class, but club. You have all these different clubs on campus." I said I was dumb. I was like, why would anyone join a club of people just sitting in a room watching YouTube videos? And it's kind of interesting when switching subject for just a little bit. If you listen to Mr. Beats, and what he did was just a whole bunch of his friends sat in a room and watched YouTube videos and then made videos. So I said I was dumb, and yeah, I just kind of kept doing my thing. But it allowed me to take that experience, and then from there I took it to Puerto Rico. I was home for a summer, and I never went home for a summer again, but I was home for my first summer, and one of my coaches, or I call my mentors, Chef Jim Sturgeon from Johnson & Wales, he was like, "Yo man, you want to go to Puerto Rico?" I was like, "What?" Like, I'm from a small town, Fuquay Varina. It's this big. It's 7 square miles. I think we had 12,000 people there. With the 12,000 people, everyone knew you. You got one high school, one middle school. I had friends that went cow tipping. Me and my friends used to sit in a parking lot and just talk in McDonald's. That was our fun. And we had one Walmart. We just walk around forever. I'm back in Fuquay, and this dude's like, "Yo, you wanna go to Puerto Rico?" Like, I was just in Miami. I want to go to, hell yeah, I want to go to Puerto Rico. Are you kidding me, bro? And what I took that experience in every opportunity. I was shooting stuff. I think I still even had a Samsung phone. Switched over to the iPhone at the time. And I was just shooting, and it was an unpaid internship. But I was in Puerto Rico, so I didn't care. So I took my unpaid internship, and they gave you a stipend after being there for, because in Johnson & Wales, we don't have like 6-month terms. We have 3 months. So we had like a trimester. So after a trimester and a half, they give you a stipend. And I used my stipend since I was getting fed every day. Like I was working at the Marriott. They gave me breakfast, lunch, dinner. It was across the street. I had a whole room to myself. I had a roommate, but I mean, I had a room, and I took my stipend and bought my first DSLR camera. It was a Canon T3. Yeah, it was a Canon T3. It was on. I was just every day. I was on the line. Think about it, I would cook the food, and then I had to give the food to a guest. But before you got your food, I took a photo of every dish, all the time, everywhere I went. To this day. If we're going out together, I'm gonna take a photo of your food. So I did that for a good minute, and that's kind of how I got started in food photography, really. And to anyone that wants to get started into any photography, like to this day, I kind of wish I never got rid of that camera. Never get rid of your camera. I mean, if you needed to get another camera, cool, but you're gonna find out pretty quickly that it doesn't really matter what camera you have until you get to a certain level where people are asking for those things. I see people to this day with that camera. I mean, I don't think anyone has the Canon. When I did see people using it and then I bought my next camera, I was like, damn bro, those photos look so good. They just know what they're doing. Like the camera's not going to make you a better person, photographer, artist. Like your look is going to be your look. And it took until like 4 or 5 cameras and thousands of dollars later to know that I could have just kept the same camera, because those guys are still getting paid. Like we're still in the same room. Like think about it. I'm pretty sure you've seen someone with a camera that's not as good quality, that you would consider not as good quality, but you might have considered good quality a few years ago, but maybe right now you don't. They still send an email. Like no one asks. You know what I mean? Until you get to a level where someone's like, yo, you got the red. No, you got 4K. But only through other education, that the outside industry started even asking those questions. I just took my camera with me everywhere. Oh, great story. Years later, my mentor, my brother, great friend, his name's Shemayim, fashion photographer. And this was the first time I did his expedition, and ironically we went to Puerto Rico. I think I went back in 2015, 2016. First time we met, and me, camera, what are you doing? I don't know, take a photo. And we went out to this restaurant, and I went to the back. So I got my camera, I'm a chef, got my camera, whatever. Everyone ordered, took drinks. My ass went to the back, go talk to the chef. Like, yo, can I take some photos? They were like, see? And I was like, see? And took some photos. And I took, as the food was ready, I went to the table. And then the waiter, I talked to the chef. He said, take some photos. Took some photos in the back of the house. I saw that our food was ready, so I wanted to get some great photos of the food on the table too. So then, because I worked in the front and the back of the house, I knew where I needed to stand. So I went to the table and waited for the food to come out. And then I told the waiter to put the food on a different table. Now, remind you, no one knew me. Shemayim just met me. People are trying to find out why they ain't got their food anymore. And that's because I took it. You just order whatever you order. I took it before you can get it. You're going to have to wait. I got to get this photo. So I was taking people's food. They put it on a different table. And then I took it. And then I put it on another table to get the light. I got some great shots in Puerto Rico. That's to the point. You gotta do what you got to do. That is my origin story of how I got started as a food photographer, of taking other people's food and getting this shot. It's been a journey. It's been an amazing journey of learning your different settings, your different styles, your different how you like your contrast. What's the right lighting that what needs to be to get the shot that you need. Because sometimes you don't have the right lighting. Sometimes you have your overhead lighting, so you have the kitchen lighting, heat lamp, you have the window lighting, like right here, this is all window lighting here. And all those play a role. I swear, it took me, bro, I was probably like at year 5, and I was confident. I was able to say I'm a professional now. And I realized someone was like, yo, can you explain ISO, shutter speed, and aperture? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, he goes, all right, cool. Well, the lighting's a little bright. Can you go and just fix that? And I was like, yeah. For those, this is where my. And it takes a tremendous amount of time. But a good way to start would be just to put your camera in automatic. See where your camera automatically changes the settings for you so that it's properly exposed. And as long as it's properly exposed, you can switch it back to manual mode, and then you can change either one of those yourself. You can just put on the exact same setting so that you can find out, okay, does this work for me in this setting? As long as the sun don't change or you ain't using a strobe light, either one of those things happen all the time. But you at least have a really good starting point. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. This is gonna be a quick update on how to have 2 cameras when you can. Even if you gotta have 2 phones, you should have something else, because there's always a 98% chance that something's gonna fail. Never throw away your cameras. If you got an old camera, what if the audio's better on that? What if you spend $3,000 for a new camera and you don't know how to use it? What's the point? Like, then you're starting over again versus using the camera that you got. It's been so many times where I've had my Sony a7 III, my Canon 70 Mark II, 6D, and something messed up on every single one. It's whack, bro. It's not. You're not a professional. What are you gonna do? You got paid for a shoot, and they're like, yo, this is amazing. Can I see the photos? And you're like, yeah. It's not working. Give me a sec. No, bro. Become a professional. Use 2 cameras. I just talked for like 20 minutes and there was no audio. When you think you know something, Instagram could have said, hey, there should be a setting on Instagram that says, hey, we can't hear you. Or, hey, there's no feedback. Let's see. What else was I talking about? This is why we practice. This is why practice is important. Let's see. Things I was referring to prior, though, was my experience beginning as a food photographer. And my experience began when my mother was telling me that you eat with your eyes first. From eating with your eyes turned into, when I got to Johnson & Wales, I didn't like how I was plating because I never cooked, bro. I never cooked. My first class was beverage. I was making drinks. Didn't even drink. Cocktail? What? So that didn't really help. And then my second class was with Chef Brian. Almost cut my finger off. I was cutting carrots. Didn't really know that you always can't make a julienne with everything. You should stop at a certain point. A julienne is just like a sheet. It doesn't matter.